So when I'm not drawing or making videos, I like to browse this site called Mercari. Now, Mercari is pretty cool. It's like eBay, but you shop primarily for Japanese products. And also, unlike eBay, the price of the imported stuff doesn't make me cry myself to sleep at night. However, don't get it twisted, Mercari also sells plenty of North American products as well, including the topic of this video, Nickelodeon products. However, by going to the search settings and clicking lowest price first, you can find some really interesting stuff. So I wanted to dive into the depths of Mercari and find whatever weird Nickelodeon stuff I can find. Let's dive in. What better way to start a Nickelodeon search than with Nickelodeon's poster boy, SpongeBob SquarePants. And already we can find some pretty interesting things. This earring set is kind of unassuming, but SpongeBob's face is staring right into my soul. It looks like someone just straight up put their fan art of Patrick on here. As a fellow artist, I respect the grind. And then there's this. What a wonderful world we live in.
Do not buy!
Now, because of the nature of SpongeBob being a hugely popular brand, it's probably going to take me forever to get through all of the lowest price items. And a lot of it is unassuming or not very interesting. So to narrow the search, I'm going to search for SpongeBob plush instead. I'm actually kind of a plushie collector. If you disagree, just ask my editor here. And we already found some interesting stuff here, such as animals, comical SpongeBob, which vaguely resembles SpongeBob, and SpongeBob box for Lucas. Well, I hope Lucas is very happy. Going further down, we find a 2002 Mattel Beach Blasting SpongeBob. I love this little guy. He definitely looks loud and proud. We also find SpongeBob SquarePants Mr. Krabs Tie Beanie Baby for $5. I too remember the episode where Mr. Krabs turned into a hedgehog. I honestly thought this one was a bootleg at first, but then I realized this is Patrick's Halloween costume from Scaredy Pants. This plush of an orange also showed up that has nothing to do with SpongeBob at all. He looks a little too happy to see me. Overall, the SpongeBob plushie listings seem to be fairly normal and unassuming. So let's get more general and see what weird stuff we can find there. Oh wow, we're already starting off with some more interesting stuff here. The very first thing on the page is an expired listing of a plush of Cousin Skeeter, a rather obscure Nickelodeon sitcom from the late 90s. The show revolves around the titular cousin Skeeter, a puppet who moves in with his family to help out and have adventures with his cousin, Bobby Walker. And if this premise sounds familiar, it's because Disney basically stole it years later. We also have a primitive SpongeBob plush that's apparently reserved for Abby. Well, I hope Abby's very happy. We also got this kind of goofy looking Rocksteady plush, as well as this terrifying but sold Ren and Stimpy plush. And unlike a lot of Nickelodeon properties where this would look like an extremely horrifying bootleg, this one is official because of course it fucking is. It's Ren and Stimpy. This goofy looking Mikey plush is up next. Look at that winning smile, how could you not love him? There's also this very illustrious Zim plush that's going up for $85. 80 of those dollars must be going into budgeting his extremely long arms. On the other side of the coin, there's this Tommy Pickles plush that's selling for the absurdly expensive price of $1.13. Truly a luxury item. I also found Ugly Vomit Duck plush. This doesn't have anything to do with Nickelodeon, I just found it interesting that a seller would hate something that they own so much that they would call it an Ugly Vomit Duck plush. Perhaps most surprising though is these listings of Waffle from Cat Scratch. You could watch Nickelodeon for a decade and still not know what Cat Scratch is. Speaking of obscure Nick stuff, we also got a listing for merch of Eureka's Castle, a Nick Jr. show from 1989 that only ran for one season. The toy here is of Magellan, the friendly dragon character from the show. But all of this still isn't weird enough. I don't give a shit about your Turtle Squishmallows or your Paw Patrol. Let's get vintage. A lot of the lower cost listings seems to be Rugrats merchandise. Like this Tommy plush whose defining feature is that he ate a little too much. But it's not just the babies, no, Stu is here too. This is possibly his eternal hell for selling his son for a little over $1. Drew is also here, and oh my god, put some pants on, man. Outside of Rugrats, there's this plush of Norbert from my favorite show, Angry Beavers, and I'm gonna be honest. This plush isn't very good. It's very cheaply made, it's missing features of the character like the two brown back fins that he has, and despite being made in the mid-2010s, the plush from 2001 is absolutely better in every conceivable way. And yet, I love him. Maybe I'm just biased because I love Norbert. He's one of my favorite characters of all time. Maybe I'm just biased because beavers are my favorite animal in general, besides otters maybe. But I absolutely adore this dumb fucking plush. He's definitely a guilty pleasure of mine. It's gotten to the point where on Discord, not only is he my profile picture in the competitive Nick Brawl Discord, but I also made an emote of him, just for good measure. But yeah, I love this plush. Even if he's a bit goofy looking, you could do worse. But enough about beavers, let's go looking for some turtles. Ninja Turtles wasn't a huge part of Nick's brand until the 2012 series. But nowadays they own and are pretty proud of every single iteration of the characters. So I'll be counting the 87 merch here too, even though it wasn't technically Nickelodeon at the time. First are these extremely common late 80s plushies. Unlike the more recent classic Turtles plushies that seem to be more based on the promotional art for the 87 show, these plushies seem to be based more on the original Mirage Comics Turtles, just with the later iconic color-coded masks from the cartoon. A lot of these guys have suction cups as you were intended to stick them on a window or something, and since a lot of people have this plush on Mercari, the quality definitely differs from listing to listing. sometimes to a horrific extent. There's also this deflated Donnie. I don't have anything interesting to say about him, I just think he looks really funny. As well as this other Donnie plush from 2001 that has definitely seen some shit. That has the face of a turtle who has definitely read The Last Ronin. There's also a Splinter plush that is clearly taking notes from Drew Pickles when he shouldn't be, and a little Leo ball in case you ever want to envision what the Ninja Turtles would be like in Mario Pinball Land. Obviously it's not just the plushies though, the Playmates action figures are also super common on this site. The Playmates action figures are a very legendary part of the TMNT brand. They're even referenced in Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2. Unfortunately, a lot of listings for the action figures seem to have one of their limbs missing, but at least that's probably due to being played with lovingly by a kid, and not by some scalper who has a black marker on Ninja Turtle limbs or something. 2012 merch is a little more common and less pricey in comparison, but I did find this listing of Leo on the stealth bike with the American flag behind him. God bless America, I guess. Before we wrap up our turtle journey, I just wanted to share this Christmas ornament. That has the face of a turtle who loves the holidays. Despite being one of the more iconic Nick shows, there's not a lot of interesting Fairly Odd Parents merch on the site. I did find a CosmoCom pin though, which I thought was really funny. There's also a Princess Mandy sticker that I found that I can't show the full thing of or YouTube will snipe me. I can show this Timmy plush show that serves as a warning as for why Timmy should never be in a 3D environment. On the more obscure side of things, I found this El Tigre Happy Meal toy that I actually had when I was a kid. No idea where that thing is now. Zim merch is obviously very common on the site for all those scene girls in the chat, including this statue that honestly looks really weird, but it really fits for Zim. He looks really cool in this. On the Danny Phantom side of things, I found an official Ember sketch by Butch Hartman that was going for a whopping $23.75. Come on guys, he made your childhood do better! I also found art of Shigo. You know, from Danny Phantom. For Real Monsters, I found this really cool Oblina pin, what looks like a branded Rubik's Cube, and some boxer shorts, which aside from Ren and Stimpy is probably the most fitting show to do that with. Lastly, I found a tumbler, which unfortunately sold out, but still looks really cool. Rocco didn't have much, but I did find this Spunky from a 1994 Hardee's deal, and a pretty cool Rocco mask for in case you want to fool animatronics into thinking you're a wallaby. Jimmy Neutron merch is up next, and... oh no. Oh no. Oh good lord. Our final search for today will be for Garfield merchandise. Similar to the Turtles, Garfield didn't become an official part of Nick's family until 2019, but honestly this is even less of a concern for me than the Turtles because he fits right in. He's literally an orange cartoon cat, you can't get more Nickelodeon than that. I actually own a few Garfield plushies from the Dokken line in the 1980s. Even 40 years later, these plushies are still weirdly high quality. With very defined fur and nice round plastic eyes and nose, and a ton of outfit variations depending on the plush. This one was also referenced in Nesby too. While not all of the Dokken line was a hit, this is still one of the best plushie designs ever, especially compared to the much less detailed Garfield plushies of today. I think the Mercari sellers noticed too, because the more recent Garfield plushies sell for under $10, while Dokken plushies are much higher on the list and tend to sell for twice or even 3 times that amount. I mean, I get it, I would rather have a cute vintage Garfield plush as opposed to a Garfield emoji plush. How does this mean? Some of my favorites currently listed on Mercari are Scuba Garfield, Garfield holding a mug that says, "What do you mean we're out of coffee?" Bunny Garfield, literal Bunny Garfield, Garfield Ballin', and the Garfield that's literally a working clock. They did not stop at anything. Obviously there's other stuff too, like that weird bootleg Garfield that was a meme a while back, Baby Garfield from the new movie, and the plush of Garfield doing head press. Overall, Garfield has a very varied and long lineage of plushies, and the fact that a lot of the 40-year-old ones are being preserved is honestly really cool, and I hope they continue to be preserved until the end of time. Thank you for joining me on this little Mercari journey today. From the pleasant to the not so pleasant, I hope you enjoyed what you saw today. What was your favorite plush? Would you like to see me do Mercari adventures more in the future? Let me know in the comments. Until next time though, I'm Dilly and I'll see you around.